Welcome to the channel Holy Bible AQ. In this video, we delve into the concept of Tevilah in Jewish tradition. But, before we start, we kindly ask you to consider subscribing to our channel. By subscribing, you can stay connected with our valuable content. To become a subscriber, locate and click the subscribe button beneath this video. We genuinely appreciate your support. Thank you. Baptism, known as Tevilah or ritual immersion, holds significant importance in Jewish tradition. It is a practice deeply rooted in Jewish law and spirituality, with its origins dating back to ancient times. Rabbi Yosh says in the Talmud, one who has become a proselyte is like a child newly born. Here's a quote from the 1906 Jewish Encyclopedia about the immersion of proselytes. The baptism of the proselyte has for its purpose his cleansing from the impurity of idolatry, and the restoration to the purity of a newborn man. This may be learned from the Talmud in regard to Pharaoh's daughter, whose bathing in the Nile is explained by Simon B. Yohai to have been for that purpose. The bathing in the water is to constitute a rebirth, wherefore, the gur is like a child just born. So, the primary purpose of immersion in a mikveh seems to be ritual purification. Baptism in Jewish tradition is commonly performed using a ritual bath known as the Mikveh, and it serves various symbolic and spiritual purposes. The primary purpose of baptism in Jewish tradition is purification. The mikveh is used to cleanse individuals from ritual impurity, allowing them to approach sacred spaces, participate in religious activities, and restore spiritual cleanliness. Ritual impurity can be contracted through various means, such as contact with a corpse or certain bodily discharges, and baptism serves to remove these impurities. Baptism is a key element in the process of conversion to Judaism. Prospective converts undergo a series of religious studies and preparations before completing their conversion through immersion in mikveh. This act symbolizes their rebirth as Jews, adopting the faith, identity, and obligations of the Jewish people. Throughout Jewish life, there are moments of significant transition or change that are marked by immersion in the mikveh. For instance, brides and grooms often immerse themselves before their wedding as a symbol of spiritual purification and preparation for the covenant of marriage. Women may immerse after menstruation as a symbol of renewal, and some men immerse before important religious events. Baptism in Jewish tradition is associated with a sense of spiritual renewal and transformation. Through immersion in the mikveh, individuals may experience a sense of purification and a new beginning, leaving behind past sins and embracing a fresh start. The practice of immersion in the mikveh is considered a religious commandment, mitzvah, in Judaism. It is mandated in certain circumstances, such as conversion, purification from certain impurities, and the return of individuals from a state of ritual impurity to a state of purity. The waters of the mikveh are often associated with the waters of creation and redemption in Jewish tradition. Just as God separated the waters at the beginning of creation, immersion in the mikveh represents a new beginning. Additionally, the crossing of the Red Sea during the Exodus symbolizes redemption, and the mikveh can serve as a reminder of the Israelites' journey to freedom. Baptism in the mikveh is both an individual and communal practice. While each person's immersion is personal, it is also connected to the wider Jewish community and the shared spiritual journey. Here are some biblical references that mention or indicate this practice. Leviticus chapter 11 from verse 32 to 36. This passage discusses the purification process for vessels that become unclean. If any of these vessels come into contact with an unclean substance, they must be immersed in water, and they remain unclean until evening. This immersion is an early indication of the concept of Tevilah for purification. Leviticus chapter 15 from verse 5 to 13. These verses outline the laws of purification for a person who becomes ritually unclean due to certain bodily discharges. After undergoing the prescribed period of purification, the individual is required to immerse themselves in water to become clean once again. Leviticus chapter 16 from verse 23 to 24. As part of the Day of Atonement, Yom Kippur, ritual, the high priest would wash and immerse himself in water before putting on his sacred garments and offering sacrifices for the sins of the people. Exodus chapter 19 verse 10 and from verse 14 to 15. Before receiving the 10 Commandments on Mount Sinai, the Israelites were instructed to consecrate themselves and wash their garments. This act of washing and purification prepared them to meet with God. Numbers chapter 19, from verse 7 to 8 and verse 11 to 12, the concept of the water of purification is introduced in this passage. The ashes of a red heifer, mixed with water, were used to purify individuals who had come into contact with a dead body. This purification involved both sprinkling and immersion in water. Ezekiel chapter 36 verse 25. In this prophetic passage, Ezekiel speaks of a future time when God will sprinkle clean water on his people to cleanse them from their impurities and idols. This metaphorical use of water emphasizes the spiritual cleansing that God will bring about. Isaiah chapter 1 verse 16. Though not explicitly mentioning Tevilah, this verse encourages the people of Israel to wash and make yourselves clean as part of their repentance and return to God. These references in the Hebrew Bible highlight the importance of water in rituals of purification and consecration. The practice of Tevilah remains an essential aspect of Jewish tradition today, particularly in rituals such as conversion to Judaism, preparing for Shabbat, or returning from a state of ritual impurity. Overall, baptism in Jewish tradition, performed through immersion in the Mikveh, plays a central role in spiritual purification, conversion, transition, and connection to Jewish heritage and identity. It is a ritual of profound significance, reflecting the rich and diverse religious practices within Judaism. Thank you for your incredible support and engagement. We look forward to having you join us for our next video. Dear viewer, our videos aim to share what we have learned from our studies with you. We hope that these videos have been beneficial to you. We warmly welcome any suggestions or comments from you. Remember to give this video a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Stay connected by subscribing to our channel, and you'll be among the first to know when we release new videos.